What's going on, people? Welcome back to the opposition preview as we look ahead to the game against City on Saturday evening. I'm joined by JSGC. Jay, how you doing?
Well, yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for coming on the channel. Actually, I'm not good. I lied to you there. I want to take that back. We haven't won a game in 2023. How can
I
I be
know.
good? I haven't seen my team win in about 3 months' time, and we've got the potential champions of this season coming up against us at home. So I'm not feeling that great, in all honesty. But look, before we get into the chat, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content and want to see more Palace content. And also make sure to check out Jay's channel as well. The link will be in the description down below. And let us know
Thank
your
you.
thoughts ahead of the game. Are you feeling worried? Let me know in the comment section down below. Jay, City, let's start off with you with your season so far. Currently second. And it's been a frustrating season for, well, as a neutral anyways, looking at City. You picked up some decent points. You beat Arsenal when you had to, but then you also drop points against teams that you expect City to get the job done. So as a City fan, how would you sum up your season so far?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's been a little bit frustrating. We've not won consecutively in a row more than 3 Premier League games,
Wow.
which I think has really hampered City's season. And every time we've looked good and we've managed to string together 2 or 3 wins, we're thinking, right, this is the point where we're going to go on now and win 6, 7, 8 in a row, which is what you need to do if you want to win a Premier League title. It's just not happened. As you mentioned, there's just been some disappointing shock results that you wouldn't expect to happen. We had some pretty good form in October going through to November. And just before the World Cup, we lose at home against Brentford. We come back, pick up some good wins going towards Christmas, gets to New Year's Eve. We drop points against Everton, and then we just slowly started to crawl it all back again. We lose against Spurs. We pick up a couple of good wins, as you said, away against Arsenal, and then boom, weekend after, we drop points away against Nottingham Forest in a match that we had near 80% possession. Nottingham Forest were limited to 1 shot in 84 minutes. City missed 2 big sitters in that game. We don't kill the game off. And we drop points. And ultimately, these games that you would expect City on paper to not only be winning, but to be walking, could well come back to hurt City towards the end of the season. So we're hitting here. We've got 12 games left of the season. I'm thinking City here need to put on a decent run. Realistically, if we wanted to win the Premier League, I think we're looking at around 85 to 90 points. So that'd be what, 10, looking at 9, 10 wins possibly out of the 12 games. We've got a game coming up at the end of April against Arsenal as well. That's a must-win game. So at the moment, the focus has to be one game at a time, and the focus has to be now, as we're not playing another Premier League game until April after this game. We just need to win and put some pressure onto Arsenal and go from there and see what happens.
So, in terms of how many wins you're coming into this game, as you said, you haven't. I think it was 3 wins in a row that you've been struggling with. Have we hit the limit? Do we have a chance on Saturday?
We're unbeaten. We're unbeaten in 7. So it was a couple of wins. It was Villa and Arsenal. Then we dropped points against Forest. We drew in the Champions League against Leipzig. We followed that up with wins against Bournemouth and with Bristol City in the FA Cup. And we won at the weekend against Newcastle. So we got all comps. That's 3 in a row. We're at 2 in a row here. So this would be our 3rd win in a row, which we have managed before this season. It's the game after, and our game after it just happens to be Liverpool at the Etihad, who are just starting to hit a bit of form. So as I was just saying, if City want to win the Premier League, these are games that we've got to turn up. We've got to do a professional job, and we've got to play well, and we've got to put our chances away. The margins are very, very fine. There's 5 points. Doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot because, we end up dropping points. And if we're playing what before Arsenal do, they're going to take confidence from that. So if we drop points here, Arsenal will be rubbing their hands. We've got a difficult game against Fulham, a London derby on Sunday. They'll be rubbing their hands thinking to themselves here, they've got a potential to go, 7 points clear if we end up drawing this game. And they play next weekend when we're in FA Cup action. That's 10 points going into April. So there's no margin for error for City here. It's a must-win game.
Yeah, look, we need to win as well. That's the worst thing. We haven't won a game for the last time we actually won a game was about December. Was it the 26th? It might be Boxing Day against Bournemouth. Other than that, we haven't won a game. So we're looking at wins as well, but it's going to be a difficult game. But just quickly, what has gone wrong? Because the City that we know they've managed to pull these results. I know lately you've been back on fire and you've been, back at the levels that you should. Even then, I don't know. As a neutral, I'm looking at City, and even against Newcastle, it was a good performance. But I know that City can do a bit better than that as well. What's been the reasons for the slight drop off this season?
There's a whole manner of things we can look towards. Excuses. We could say there's a World Cup. We had a lot of players head off to Qatar, with players arriving at different points in the season. We had players returning back from the World Cup unfit, like Calvin Phillips, and so if he's having to get back up to scratch, we're not able to rotate our squad as much as what we're hoping for. And I think ultimately it just comes down to a question of attitude for the City players. There's been 2, 3, 4 different players who have, for this season, grown a little bit frustrated, either wanting to leave the club. So we're hearing rumours right now of players like Aymeric Laporte that's unhappy. Obviously, João Cancelo, something I think's gone on behind the scenes, that he's been loaned out to Bayern Munich. And I just think it's an attitude thing, because Bayern Munich aren't starting João Cancelo. They're not impressed with his attitude. City aren't impressed with his attitude. So I just think there's a lot of egos around the City squad, and Pep Guardiola, he just does not put up with egos. Pep Guardiola likes players to turn up on time, to train well, to listen, and to perform well. And if you do all that, you're going to get starts. It's why we're seeing players like Manuel Akanji. He's a £15 million player. It was meant to be our 5th choice centre-back. He started most games for us this season. And he started most games for us because he's been listening to Pep Guardiola and he's been working hard. He gets in the team ahead of Aymeric Laporte, who at times wants to throw his toys out of the pram. Pep Guardiola won't put up with it. And so it upsets some of the dressing room. There's a lot of important players in there. It just feel like City are going for a little bit of a reshuffle. I can see 3 or 4 players in the summer leaving. I can see City bringing in some fresh energy into their team and bringing 3 or 4 players in as well. So it'll be an interesting summer. But at the moment, it's just there's not that many games left at the end of the season. If we want to be lifting the big trophies, we need to be putting in the big performances ultimately. And that's where we're at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, look, we've had some decent results against City as of late. I mean, I remember last season I was there. We beat you at your ground. I know even with 10 men, you absolutely controlled the play, but we still managed to pick out a win. Earlier on this season, without Zaha, I remember Haaland then switched on in the second half. He's like a robot, and absolutely destroyed us. But it was like 2-0 up, I believe. It was like 2-0 up at your ground earlier on the season. So what have we made of Palace and our season so far and Patrick Vieira?
So I was at the Etihad for that game against Palace when we came back to win. It was 4-2, wasn't it? And you were 2-0 up. And you were playing some good stuff, and Man City just didn't know what to do. And you're not the first team to come to the Etihad to be able to play some really good quality football, put your opportunities away, and put us under pressure. And you're not the last team that's also come to the Etihad this season that we've managed to sort it out second half and come back, score the goals and win the game. We did it against Spurs back in January as well. They were 2-0 up at half-time, and that was the same result that evening as what it was against Palace earlier in the season. So there's definitely... take positives from scoring a couple of goals against us because as of late, defensively, we're looking a little bit stronger than what we did earlier in the season. So the fact that you've managed to come to the Etihad, score a couple of goals, your attackers need to take confidence from that. I think the last thing you want to be doing, particularly at Selhurst Park for this game, you don't want to be sitting there, 10 men behind the ball, absorbing the pressure and having 20, 30% possession because you're inviting pressure onto yourselves. And there is a lot of pressure, and there's lots of top quality teams in the Premier League. Palace are included in that. If we present you with an opportunity, the opportunity does need to go. But ultimately, it's about playing against City and just showing no fear and taking the game to us and having that desire to be able to sit firm defensively, but also attack in numbers. Now, you need to find the right balance. Bournemouth, we played them a couple of weeks ago. They attacked us. They had some great opportunities. They didn't put their opportunities away, but they weren't that strong defensively, and we put them to the sword because of it. I don't think it's going to be like this in this game. I can see Palace sitting really tight, really deep, no space for the Man City attackers. You mentioned Haaland scored a hat-trick at the Etihad. Haaland recently, not so much struggling to score goals, but more Man City, he's not having any space. You're having to put 2 or 3 players on Erling Haaland to stop him. And recently, I don't know if you've been paying attention to how City are playing and how they're doing, but it is the other players is where the dangers are going to be for this game. Phil Foden's a player that's starting to really hit form. 4 goals in 3 games. He's looking good on the right-hand side. He can play on the left-hand side. He's had a little bit of a foot injury. He's over that. He's good to go for this game. He's a player you need to be careful of. If you've got 2 or 3 men behind trying to mark out Erling Haaland, then it's going to allow space for some of the other dangerous players that we've got. Now, in terms of Patrick Vieira, top quality manager. Former Man City man. I think he did a season. It might have been half a season with us. I think he might have joined City as a coach before leaving to go to France to become become a manager over in France. And he's a really good manager, a technical manager. It'll be a very interesting battle. I can see Palace being well up for this at Selhurst Park. I can see Vieira being well up for this. I can see your players being well up for this. And I have had a little nosy at your form. I know you've not won in 2023. What I have noticed is there's been some good teams that have come to Selhurst Park and have dropped points. Liverpool, Newcastle, I think United as well. All come to Selhurst Park. And drop points. So City need to be careful here. This isn't going to be an easy game for us.
Yeah, you're better than all them teams anyways. Don't worry about that. You're better than United and Liverpool. You don't have to worry about them teams. Trust me, we'll see City's quality come Saturday. But you mentioned some of the decent players as of late. I mean, Phil Foden, he got. I don't understand it, but there was neutrals because he was out injured. There was them talks about, oh, he's not. Is he dropped off or is he this? We know his quality. I mean, he's an amazing player. But one player that I want to talk about and hear your thoughts is Jack Grealish. He's been on form ever since, post World Cup, and he's been exceptional for you guys, and more people are noticing. What do you think it is with Grealish as of late? Do you think it's a matter of he understands the system better, he's building a bit more confidence? Because that's another player. I mean, as soon as he joined, people expected him to be, destroy the world. I get the price. I get the price fee. I get the expectations, but sometimes people have to be realistic. You have to be realistic. Yeah. You have to bet in and you have to understand a new system, especially with a manager like Pep, who's been exceptional and he has his own ways of working. And I think now he's used to it. This is my theory. I think now he's used to the system. He's got a bit of confidence and you're seeing the best out of Grealish. But what do you think it is?
He's just a top quality player. I think we're going to refer back to what we were speaking about before with the likes of Manuel Akanji. He's a player, Jack Grealish, turns up on time, his attitude. I remember when we first signed him, I was a little bit concerned about his attitude. There was things being reported in the press, what is it, drink driving, things like that going on. City don't want to see that kind of thing. So Jack Grealish has come to Manchester City and since day one, he's just put his head down, knuckled down and worked hard. And because of that, he gets to start games. And actually, what you're seeing, we've seen a really nice front three forming. Jack Grealish on the left, Phil Foden on the right, and Erling Haaland going through the middle. Now, people look at a player and they judge far, far too much on numbers. They look at Jack Grealish and say he's not assisted enough, he's not scored enough, and he doesn't really offer anything to Manchester City. But he does. As was mentioning before, it's Man City's how we like to play. It's all about space. Because there's quality everywhere on the pitch in every position for Manchester City, it's all about space. Man City needs space to work with to score goals, and Jack Grealish does that. He likes to cut inside. He brings and draws out 2 or 3 players. He wins challenges. He gets into really good positions. He wins us free kicks. Most importantly, and something that's very underrated, he also tracks back. He'll be in the right place at the right time. We don't play with a systematic left back. There is no left back at Manchester City. Not one. We don't play with a left back. But what we do have is players in certain areas of the pitch, in certain moments of the game. And if Crystal Palace puts us under pressure and we need to drop deeper, who's going to be in the right place at the right time, tracking back and winning them challenges? Jack Grealish, and it helps us just to get that ball back, the possession for us to build forward, to push our defence forward, to resume our game properly. And as you said there, I think first season for Jack was him getting an understanding of City's systems. He's admitted it himself. It's so different. He's gone from being the big fish in the small pond at Aston Villa. I don't mean that as any disrespect to Villa, but Villa's expectations at that point in this, where they are and where we are, the two completely different ball games. And he's come to Man City. It's a big pond. There's quality all around Jack Grealish, and that's what he's competing with to get into the starting 11. He's managed to solidify himself into the starting 11. Now he just needs to keep building on it, keep learning, keep listening, keep pushing, and he'll prosper because of it.
Yeah. You mentioned the left back spot, and that's what I've noticed as well. I remember Bernardo Silva was at times rotating, better than me, but he's rotating from the left back, moving into the midfield. I think Pep has lately let go of that. Am I right in saying that? Bernardo Silva ain't playing in that role.
We're at the moment, we like to go with one inverted fullback. So recently it's been Kyle Walker. There's been some controversies online that's surfaced over the last 24 hours. So I don't know what's happening there with Kyle Walker. I'd be very surprised if he's starting this weekend. It does mean we'll be starting with a young lad called Rico Lewis. He's been top quality for us, but he's one of the best inverted fullbacks that we've got in that position. So he'll cut into the middle. So we'll play with a flat back three, so to speak. It'll be Ake as the left side of centre back. I'm expecting it to be Akanji on the right side of centre back, and Ruben Diaz, who's recently come back from injury and has been superb for us since coming back. He'll be going right through the middle. And what you'll see is Rodri will take over the middle. Rico Lewis will occupy the right-hand side. So we need a midfielder to take the left-hand side. And that's where Bernardo Silva comes in. But we've not really found a way to get all our midfielders involved. If we've got an inverted fullback coming in, sitting in midfield, it means we've got three other positions. If we're going with a front three, we've got three positions for four top quality midfielders, including Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne. So one of them big four players won't be starting in this game. And if I was to have a bet on who that might be, I have a feeling it's probably going to be Kevin De Bruyne.
Which is mental.
It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, the fact that you got Kevin De Bruyne. Oh, it's not working. Let's look at the bench. Oh, Kevin, come, Kevin.
Yeah,
how's that even fair?
That's a situation. That's a situation that we're
off the bench. Or you're gonna have Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, how's that even fair? But just in terms of your weakness, then quickly, is it that left back? Because I don't think that's even a weakness, because Ake's been performing well as well. So what is the actual? Because I was looking at the left back position maybe a few weeks ago. Maybe you can target that area, but it seems like now that Pep has changed about, that ain't your weakness. So what is the weakness of City, if you have any?
If you want to have a pop at City in terms of weakness, it would just be run at us. Have a good watch of the second half against RB Leipzig that we played in the first leg, and that's where you'll start to identify some cracks at the back for Manchester City. If you're only going to have one or two pops at us, it's not enough. City's defence will be able to deal with that. If you're going to continue that and keep pressing, keep forcing the issue, like Leipzig did, they ended up having 3 or 4 quality chances before putting one of them away and finding their equaliser. That's, I think, what Palace need to do in this game, making sure you're getting balls into the box, you're utilising your set pieces, your free kicks in areas, put quality balls into the box, put us under pressure. City do seem to struggle ever so slightly with players not really being out of position, but they more just have an area that they need to be in. And if you can cut inside and get past any of the defenders, I'd probably say you'd have more success on your left-hand side to our right-hand side, just purely because Akanji is a little bit slower than what Nathan Ake is. And as you said, Nathan Ake has been top quality for City. He's a difficult player to get past. I'd feel like the left-hand side might be for Palace where the success might be. In particular, if Kyle Walker's not starting, we've not got that pace if you're hitting us on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
So
let's move on to the score prediction.
Yes.
Let's move on to the score prediction. And this is the fun bit. 3-0, 4-0, or 5?
No. I'm going to go... I was thinking about 1-0. I'm going to go for 2-0 City, but I can see that second goal coming very late in the game when you're going to overcommit to try and find that equaliser. City are going to be patient in this game. I don't see City going all guns blazing at Crystal Palace. I can see us first 15 minutes, us trying to just suss you out what your approach is. If we can find a goal in the first half, that'd be brilliant from our point of view. If not, I can see we're at that point, business end of the season. You get to half time and it's 0-0. All the pressure's on Manchester City, none on Crystal Palace. And the players get frustrated, the fans get frustrated, and that tension is there on the pitch. So hopefully we can get a goal first half. That'll settle us down. And I can see City just being patient throughout the whole process of this game. So I'm going to go for 2-0 City and for us to grab a goal late in the first half and late in the second half. And I can see Erling Haaland grabbing at least one. He did a good job at the Etihad.
He's going to have to, ain't he? He's going to have to.
I'll go Haaland anytime.
He's out of form with 27 goals. That's the type of player that we're talking about. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the squad that you have. But look, make sure to go check out Jay's channel, JSGC, for great City content. Jay, really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, we'll catch up again relatively soon. Maybe by then you might be champions. You might be a bit more comfortable talking about tensions and stuff. But look, make sure to check that out. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. That's it from me and Jay. And until next time, up the Palace.